Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? It's day 3 of our 5 days of frozen spaghetti and meatballs reviews. If you haven't been keeping up, shame on you. I think after the first 2 reviews and the drinking games, some viewers may have hangovers, or some viewers may be contemplating going to meetings. If either is the case, I highly encourage you to take a break from the drinking game this time. But if you're 21 years old and you drink responsibly, have at it. So if you missed the first 2 reviews, here's a recap. The 10-ounce Banquet Frozen Spaghetti and Meatball Dinner cost $1.68 and got a score of 7 out of 10. It had good flavor, it had decent quality, and was an excellent bargain. The 12.4-ounce Marie Callender's Frozen Spaghetti and Meatballs cost $2.98 and got a score of 8 out of 10. The meatballs lacked flavor, however, they had a great meaty texture, just like homemade, and the spicy sauce made up for the lacking flavor of the meatballs. The pasta was a higher quality pasta, and it was cooked perfectly. And now for the 3rd day of frozen spaghetti and meatballs, we have Healthy Choices 9.5-ounce Cafe Steamers Frozen Spaghetti and Meatballs, which is freshly made spaghetti with meatballs and a marinara sauce that costs $3.12. Healthy Choice felt the need to let you know that their frozen spaghetti and meatballs were made with spaghetti and meatballs. Who in the hell sees and approves what comes out of marketing departments nowadays? One could argue that this almost makes Bud Light's marketing department look good. Actually, I'll take this a step further. By putting this on the box, Healthy Choice must think that its consumers are stupid. Well, here's a picture of what Healthy Choice has on their box of their frozen spaghetti and meatballs. If it looks this good and tastes half as good as it looks, I'll forgive them. So this better be some damn good frozen spaghetti and meatballs. And of course, there's isolated soy protein in the meatballs as well. For those of you who don't know, when I point out textured vegetable protein or isolated soy protein or any other kind of added soy protein, I'm not pointing it out to say there's anything wrong with it. I personally don't like the texture it gives meat. Well, that is in most cases. Some cases, it does work well. Their serving size is the whole meal, which has 280 calories, 7 grams of total fat, 2.5 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 1.5 grams of polyunsaturated fat, 3 grams of monounsaturated fat, 25 milligrams of cholesterol, 410 milligrams of sodium, 35 grams of carbohydrates, 4 grams of fiber, 5 grams of sugars, and 19 grams of protein. Here's the Healthy Choice Cafe Steamers Frozen Spaghetti and Meatballs right out of the freezer and right out of the box. Now there's no need to vent the film, and you microwave on high for 4.5 to 5 minutes. And then you stir the steamed food into the sauce bowl. Be careful, it's hot. Thank you for telling us the obvious, that something's going to be hot after microwaving for 5 minutes, and that your spaghetti and meatballs are made with spaghetti and meatballs. So here's our Healthy Choice frozen spaghetti and meatballs after microwaving on high for 4.5 minutes. Now obviously with the Healthy Choice Cafe Steamers, the food is steamed. Now this might be a good idea with some kind of frozen vegetables or fish or something that you don't want to get soggy. But steaming frozen spaghetti and meatballs just doesn't make any sense to me. What say you, the people? Besides it making no sense, it looks hideous. Those meatballs look like dog kibble or what comes after the dog eats the kibble. They're not appetizing whatsoever. Now let's dump the spaghetti and meatballs out of the steamer and into the sauce. I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I'm having a hard time describing what I'm seeing. But there appears to be one good thing, is the bright red sauce. It looks good, so let's try it first, before mixing everything together. And it had very little flavor whatsoever. It basically tasted like regular tomato sauce right out of the can. But it did have that canned metallic flavor that the previous 2 frozen spaghetti and meatball dinners didn't have. So we gave this atrocity of spaghetti and meatballs a mix. And I'm not sure why I didn't try a meatball before mixing everything together.
I know why. Because you like licking the sauce off the balls.
Seriously, Scooter, you have to stop. This is borderline cyberbullying. So once we gave it a mix, it reminded me of Chef Boyardee canned spaghetti and meatballs. But there was one good thing about this spaghetti. It was very twistable, and we got a good twist on the fork. To all my Italian friends out there, am I using the right terminology when I'm saying I'm getting a good twist of spaghetti on the fork? I believe there's a proper term, and it includes a fork and a spoon. So we got a big forkful, and into the old pie hole, and down the gullet it went. If you've ever had overcooked, mushy, soggy, boiled noodles, that's exactly what these taste like. Even with the sauce, all I could taste was boiled pasta water. So like I've said before, I've eaten some things that weren't very appetizing to the eye, but they tasted really good. So right now, Healthy Choice is banking on their meatballs. So we shake the meatball, and even though the sauce didn't have any flavor, I still removed the sauce from the ball to taste the ball by itself. I gotta be careful what I say, because you know Scooter's gonna have a smart-ass comment.
Duh, you got that right, Big Daddy.
You know the old saying, expect the worst and hope for the best? Well, I was expecting these meatballs to have the flavor and the texture of a soggy mattress in a nursing home. But to the contrary. Well, at least partially. The meatballs were pretty good. They didn't have that zesty, robust flavor you expect from a meatball, but they did have a pretty decent flavor. And the meatballs also had a surprisingly meaty texture. In my opinion, this whole Healthy Choice cafe steamers, frozen spaghetti and meatballs is a bad idea. I don't understand the whole steaming part. By steaming it, I think it did exactly what they were trying to avoid, having overcooked, mushy noodles. Ketchup has more flavor than their marinara sauce. And when I said the meatballs have good flavor and a good texture, you gotta consider what I was eating before I tasted the meatballs. In other words, the meatballs weren't very good in general, but they were the best part of this meal, which isn't saying a lot. Healthy Choice is the perfect name for this meal, because if given the choice, you should stay away from it. $3.12 was absolutely not a bargain for the quality, taste, or amount of food. I have to apologize to you, the people, because I don't have anything positive to say about this meal, and I'm unable to rate it. So please stay positive and stay tuned for tomorrow's review of a more expensive frozen spaghetti and meatball dinner. And then of course for Friday's finale of the most expensive frozen spaghetti and meatball dinner. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.